08.3B3 of the Code of Virginia because his principal residence is more than 60 miles from the meeting location. And so we will proceed. So what I would like to do at this time is have a motion to approve or amend the agenda as presented.
Move item C to the first item on our agenda in front of A and B. I think it's important to have the update before we move forward on the two proposals.
Do I have a second on that motion? Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. So we move item C up to item A, and so that brings Dr. Armstrong to us.
Present.
Yes.
You over here. I'll sit if that's okay. Thank you. Good morning, Madam President, board members, and Dr. Raley. I would like to provide the board with a brief overview of the currently obligated College Partnership Lab School grant funds on behalf of the 12 board-approved lab schools. That's okay. No problem. You just let me know when to come back.
So before we begin our public comment today, I would like to remind everyone that we encourage positive professionalism, dignity, and respect for others. Please share your thoughts today, respectfully and civilly. As we begin, please provide your name and your role for affiliation. All remarks must be directed to the chair, not to any other individual. Any written comments should be provided to Mr. Chapman in the back, please. And speakers are limited to 3 minutes to share their remarks. There will be a timer on the screen. It will get started 3 minutes, and then we will get a yellow screen as we get to count down to 2 minutes, and then the screen will turn around when you stop. Again, comments should go to Mr. Chapman, or you may also email your comments to doe@doe.virginia.gov. And we only have 2 speakers signed up today. So we will proceed with Karen McDonald-Jones, followed by Cindy Walker.
Thank you. Okay. Good morning. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Dr. Erin McDonald-Jones, and I'm an associate professor of teacher education at Randolph-Macon College in Ashland, Virginia. I joined Randolph-Macon last fall, and it has brought immeasurable joy to work with these faculty members and students over the past year. During my time, I have been called upon by many students to help them prepare for and pass the Virginia Communication and Literacy Assessment, otherwise known as the VCLA. They would be here with me today to speak with you, but this is our finals week, so I hope you will hear me knowing that I speak for many of them. These students are smart, hardworking, focused, and determined to become the best teacher that they can be for their future Virginia students. Unfortunately, they also have to deal with multiple issues associated with standardized testing. The financial cost of these tests add up for multiple times students are required to take them. The tests perpetuate educational inequalities through a biased design. And most importantly, the tests do not predict who will or will not be a good teacher. As you know, on April 8th of this year, the governor approved HB 731, which eliminates the requirements for teachers to pass the VCLA. The legislation requires that the Board of Education take action to determine alternative methods of assessment. I'm here today to urge you to take action soon in order to allow our students to continue towards licensure in the next academic year. I can assure you that these students are able to meet the objectives of what the VCLA measured, but there are better ways to demonstrate it, such as through collegiate coursework, project-based assessments, and performance-based tasks. The VCLA does not quantify the true ability of our future teachers. Unfortunately, if the board does not take action soon, we will lose out on licensing many future teachers who will enter the classroom fully prepared for their teaching career. Again, I urge you to take action soon to allow our students to continue towards licensure and demonstrate their communication and literacy skills through alternative means. Thank you.
Thank you. Sydney Waldrop.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Sydney Waldrop, and I'm a sophomore at Randolph-Macon College. I'm a double major in history and exceptional education with a minor in secondary education, with the goal of being a middle school history teacher. In second grade, I was diagnosed with dyslexia, and ever since then, I've made it my life's mission to become a teacher so that I can help students with learning disabilities and all students reach their full potential no matter what differences they may have. I have come to you today to talk to you about the Virginia Communication and Literacy Assessment, otherwise known as the VCLA. The VCLA has affected me personally because I have taken it and been unable to pass. This test has affected me emotionally because it has continued to put a lot of stress and anxiety on me throughout my school year. As a student with dyslexia, this test can be hard for me to pass because it focuses on topics that I struggle with. Because I have not passed the VCLA, I was unable to be accepted into the teacher preparation program with the rest of my cohort this spring. I know that I'm going to be an excellent teacher, but this has caused me to feel left out due to the requirement from the Department of Education. On April 8th of this year, the governor approved House Bill 731, which eliminates the requirements for teachers to pass the VCLA. The legislation requires the Board of Education to take action to determine alternate methods of assessment. I'm here today to ask you to determine what alternate formats would be better and more inclusive to measure future education students' communication and literacy. Through coursework, students can show communication and literacy through project-based learning and teacher prep classes and other classes. The VCLA does not measure my teaching ability. It puts emphasis on a learning disability that I've been diagnosed with for most of my life. My disability does not define me, and neither should my test score on the VCLA. Unfortunately, if the board does not take action soon, this could ultimately impact my future. It may mean that I never get to teach students in the classroom like I've always dreamed of doing. Thank you for your time.
If there are any other speakers that wish to speak today, please line up behind the microphone. Okay, I'm going to close public. And we do, before Dr. Armstrong comes up, we do need to approve the minutes from our meeting as were presented in SharePoint. Do I have a motion on those? Ms. Ashton, Dr. Northern, Mr. Hanson, Mr. Rotherham.
Aye.
Dr. Siebert.
Aye.
Ms. Holton.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Mr. Rotherham, can you hear us clearly? I just want to make sure.
I can hear you. I put my.
No, yes, I did. I just want to make sure that we're loud and clear for you. Thank you. Okay, Dr. Armstrong.
Thank you, Madam President and board members. Again, I'd like to provide you all, the board, Dr. Raley, with a brief overview of the currently obligated College Partnership Lab School grant funds on behalf of the 12 approved lab schools that the board's approved since July. And as soon as I get the graphic up, I will walk you through that. I know, yeah. I'll honor my time limit as well, members of the board. Thank you. There we go. This graphic is aligned with the language of the FY 2024 budget caboose bill, which limits the overall grant fund to $75 million. And as you can see, as of today, prior to consideration of the 2 lab school applications before the board, the total obligated funds for the 12 board-approved lab schools totals approximately $64.5 million. This includes awarded planning grant funds, startup funds, and operational funds. In full transparency, the University of Virginia Lab School contract is out for signature as I speak, and we anticipate full execution of that contract this morning. If it has not already been completed, I'm glancing back at Ms. McDaniel, who's keeping me updated that by the minute. You will note that a full 2/3 of the obligated funds are designated for 4-year public university lab schools, and those include James Madison, Mary Washington, University of Virginia, George Mason, Virginia Commonwealth University, and both the ODU Newport News and ODU Chesapeake lab schools. Our 2-year public lab schools include Germanna Community College, Mountain Gateway Community College, and Paul D. Camp, which account for nearly $13 million, while the 2 approved private lab schools represent less than 10 of the $64.5 million of obligated funds as we sit here today. Looking forward, if you see to the right in that box, today's lab school applications for consideration represent funding requests of slightly more than $7 million. And if approved and contracted, the balance in the fund would sit at nearly $3.5 million. Several applications do remain in various stages of the approval process currently, and we anticipate at least 2 applications for review at the June standing committee meeting. Details of that are being finalized. And that is a brief overview of where we are with the fund. I'm happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions for Dr. Armstrong? Please, Ms. Holton.
Thank you, Dr. Armstrong. This is very helpful. The potential fund balance, if both of the applications before us today are approved, the fund balance would be $3.5 million. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, ma'am.
And you anticipate that we may have as many as 2 applications coming before us in June, Norfolk State and another ODU? Yeah.
Potentially.
So do we know what the amount of those applications is?
We do not at this time. We're still reviewing those applications. Our subject matter experts.
So do we know what they've applied for? The amount they've applied for?
We're reviewing that currently. I don't have the numbers handy, but we're considering that with our overall budget.
So, okay, assuming that those applications are in the same range as the applications we've seen before, which were all, I don't think we've seen any. The George Mason Frederick at 2.8 million may be the lowest number we've seen. If we in fact do get 2 more applications, we may not be able to fund 2 applications 2 more that succeed in making it to the board. We may not be able to fund all the applications that are coming before us. Am I correct? Assuming that those 2 more are in the same financial range.
In addition to the numbers that we have in the fund, there are also some remaining questions that I know we'll discuss regarding fiscal agency for some of our 2-year and private schools as well. We have to finalize that. That doesn't necessarily translate to additional funds. However, there are several variables I think are still in play that we have to monitor in the weeks to come.
So it's possible that some of the funds that have already, some of the programs that have already been approved, some of those funds conceivably could come back into the hopper.
We hope not, but
Okay.
that of course is a possibility.
Okay. I'm just recognizing that at least one of the 2 applications you've got coming up is from a school that we haven't yet seen, whereas the applications that are before us today are from universities that have already had approved applications. So
That's true.
I just I'll be looking forward to especially our committee members, Mr. Rotherham and Mr. Hanson, who've been so intimately involved in this, helping us think through what do we need to do to make sure we have the opportunity to fund good programs that come before us in June, if any. So help us think that through.
Mr. Hanson.
Ms. Holton and I just do think that we really need to, we've had a lot of uncertainty kind of thrust. We've had a lot of uncertainty and change thrust upon us here in the last week or two, and I think we owe it both to the lab committee to be about our work at our June 3rd meeting, as well as the departmental staff, but also just with some of the other stipulations that were put in the legislation, all relatively new. And I think the department and the schools have some work to do, frankly. And so I think we owe it to the schools to honor the process. And we have another lab school meeting coming up in 10 days or whatever it is, and another board meeting coming up here in June. So I think we, with the June 30th deadline for all of this, so I think we just owe it to the schools to just work through the process here in the coming weeks.
Any other questions or comments at this time? Okay. I would like to move us from, I think, because there are some legal questions around how the board iterates from here, that we might want to go ahead and take this opportunity to move into our closed session now. If that's the will of the board to do that prior to taking up the 2 lab school applications.
I would move
Please.
that the Virginia Board of Education convene in a closed meeting for the following purpose: consultation with legal counsel employed by or attained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel pursuant to section 2.2-3711A8 of the Code of Virginia, and specifically related to college partnership laboratory schools, and the legal counsel to the Virginia Board of Education staff whose presence will aid in the board's consideration of this matter participate in the closed meeting.
Second.
Okay. And we will go into closed session now. Sorry. Hold on. Miss Ashton, Miss Kilgore is not here. Dr. Northern, Mr. Hanson,
Aye.
Mr. Rotherham,
Aye.
Dr. Siebert,
Aye.
Miss Holton, and chair votes aye. Okay, and we are going into closed session. Thank you.
Closed meeting pursuant to a recorded vote on the motion above and in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act. Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires that the board certify that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempt from open meeting requirements under this chapter, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered. Any member who believes there was a departure from these requirements shall so state prior to the vote, indicating the substance of the departure that in his or her judgment has taken place. The statement of the departure will be recorded in the minutes. So moved.
Ms. Ashton? Dr. Northern? Aye. Mr. Hanson?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All right, now we will move on to item B. Or I guess it is item B, huh? Officially. Thank you.
Madam President and board members, first, thank you all for convening today's special meeting to include consideration of 2 lab school applications. So on behalf of the VDOE, I would like to provide an overview of the Old Dominion University STEM Academy at Booker T. Washington Elementary School lab school proposal, a partnership between Old Dominion University and Suffolk City Public Schools. I would like to first thank the members of the College Partnership Lab School Standing Committee, including Chair Mrs. Joan Wadiska, Virginia Board of Education members, Mr. Bill Hanson, Mr. Andy Rotherham, and members, Mr. John Bailey and Dr. Pam Moran, for their time, feedback, and commitment to lab schools and additional opportunities afforded by lab schools on behalf of the students of the Commonwealth. Upon receipt of a lab school application, the VDOE convenes a subject matter expert team to provide detailed feedback in each compliance-related section of the application. The goal of the application review technical expert committee is to document the needed technical expertise and provide counseling to the applicants to identify and correct any potential deficiencies in the planning and implementation of the proposed college partnership laboratory school, determine compliance with state law and regulation, highlight potential problems or red flags with information contained in the application, and to identify aspects of the proposal that are especially exciting or unique. The subject matter expert team includes me, Ms. Shauna LeBlanc from the Office of Licensure, Mr. Jason Ellis from the Office of Accountability, Ms. Rebecca Askew from the Office of Policy, Mr. Ed Lanzer from the Office of Budget, Ms. Melissa Velasquez from the Department of Policy and Communications, Dr. Samantha Hollins from the Department of Special Education Student Services, Dr. Dave Myers from Data Research and Technology, Ms. Claire Bremner, Innovation Coordinator, and Ms. Sophia McDaniel from the Office of Innovation. Each subject matter expert was provided with a laboratory school criteria checklist worksheet, and areas of expertise were assigned to various staff subject to their education expertise at the VDOE. A compilation of these comments is included in the Excel spreadsheet entitled VDOE Completeness and Compliance Report. The Completeness and Compliance Report corresponds to the lab school application and reflects the following dimensions of compliance: executive summary, mission and vision, educational program, governance, management structure, financial and operations, placement plan, and other assurances. The application presented to you today has undergone multiple phases of subject matter review, and additionally, the agency has engaged the Office of the Attorney General and the Governor's Transformation Office to ensure that applications presented to the Standing Committee and Board of Education are complete and compliant, and that budget and sustainability plans are scrutinized for efficiency and effectiveness in the use of lab school grant funds, and the higher ed partners detailed plans to sustain the lab school past the grant fund window. You will find cover sheets from the OAG and VDOE, as well as consistent budget templates in each application reflecting these additional efforts taken on behalf of the applications before you today for consideration, including the ODU Suffolk application. This application was presented to the Lab School Standing Committee on May 6, 2024, and was unanimously approved on first and final review to be forwarded for your consideration today. Joining me today from Old Dominion University and Suffolk City Public Schools are Dr. Akima Branch, Chief Academic Officer of Suffolk City Public Schools, Dr. John Gordon, who was with us and had to slip away for his daughter's event. I hope he comes back, who's the Superintendent of Suffolk Public Schools, Dr. Caitlin Leitner, who's the Coordinator of Instruction for Suffolk Public Schools, Dr. Tish Zamersky, Associate Vice President of the Regional Higher Education Center for Old Dominion University, and Dr. Karen Sanzo is joining us online from Old Dominion University. Upon completion of my report, I'll invite the ODU team to provide a brief overview of their proposal and to introduce any other special guests representing the STEM Academy at Booker T. Washington Elementary. The proposed lab school named ODU STEM Academy is an innovative, interdisciplinary lab school model that focuses on providing career exposure to students through real-world problem solving in collaboration with higher education professionals, pre-service college students, and industry experts. The goals of the ODU STEM Academy include student engagement and high-level application of real-world problem solving while working closely with a team of experts from both industry and higher ed partners, the provision of a space for innovation where educators, industry, and pre-service professionals can explore best practices in teaching and learning, and student engagement coursework aligned with personal interests and regional market demand industry and business, streamlining the pipeline for high-wage, high-skill, high-demand employment in the regions served by the lab school. Students will remain enrolled in their home school division while being provided with several options to engage in career exploration, including innovative hands-on elementary STEM curriculum. I will also note that this is our first, and as far as I know, only lab school application from the elementary level as well. This early introduction to STEM is coupled with engaging opportunities for students supported by a wide network of community supporters. The proposed lab school will serve 120 students from grades K through 5. Instruction will be administered in a hands-on environment and includes simultaneous teaching by SPS staff, ODU faculty and pre-service students, and industry experts. The VDOE received the ODU STEM Academy application on February 1st, 2024, and in the intervening months, we have collaborated with the applicant as follows. The applicant was responsive to SME feedback and questions and provided edits to their application and addendum as required to meet compliance. Prior to the standing committee's first and final review on May 6th, the VDOE staff provided technical assistance to the ODU STEM Academy team in preparation for review. Prior to their submission, technical assistance calls were held between VDOE and the STEM Academy teams on September 11th, 2023, December 4th, 2023, and January 8th, 2024. Following submission of the application, additional technical assistance calls were held on April 17th, 2024. The first round of SME reviews provided the week of March 12, 2024, and a revised application was submitted to VDOE on March 25th. A revised application, budget, and sustainability addendum were also provided to the VDOE on April 17, 2024, and a final application responsive to suggested revisions was received on April 24th for consideration by the Standing Committee. Follow-up feedback has been provided to the applicants. The ODU STEM Academy team presented to the Standing Committee on May 6th, responded to questions of the committee, and was approved by the Standing Committee to proceed to today's special meeting of the Board of Education for consideration for approval. The ODU STEM Academy application was posted for public comment following the May 6th Standing Committee meeting on May 6th and remained available until May 20th, and there was no comment received. On behalf of the VDOE, I submit that the Old Dominion University STEM Academy application is compliant and ready to implement, and I recommend to the board that the lab school be approved and subsequently begin the contract approval process. Here to share more again about ODU STEM Academy is Dr. Kima Branch, Dr. Gordon, Dr. Leitner, Dr. Zamersky, and Dr. Sanzo, who will also introduce additional guests and provide additional information and answer any questions from the board. Suffolk team.
Good morning, Virginia Board of Education. We are pleased and honored to have made it to this point in the STEM Lab Academy application journey. As Dr. Armstrong stated, I am Dr. Okima Branch, Chief Academic Officer of Suffolk Public Schools, joined by my esteemed colleagues. We will not belabor this moment and are ready to proceed. We presented the STEM Academy at Booker T. Washington to the committee, and we were very proud of our work with the Virginia Department of Education and all that it took working in partnership with Old Dominion University to get us to this point and to see our vision for our STEM Academy in progress and hopefully to come to fruition. Our mission is simple, but yet complicated. Seems like the world of education today. Our mission supports excellence in education. And as Dr. Armstrong mentioned, we are the only elementary STEM Lab Academy or application that has been presented. We want to start earlier than waiting for secondary education to really expose students to a curriculum that focuses them on STEM education and careers. We want to broaden our students' horizons and inspire them. I guess I do have my notes in front of me, with a instilled sense of responsibility. We are going to be using a design thinking framework where we will have more student agency and voice in their learning, as they will be entering a world of problems that they will solve based on their level and where they see things happening in our world, in our community, especially in the schools. We will address the needs of low socioeconomic populations. Booker T. Washington Elementary School is one of our elementary schools that has the lowest socioeconomic status. We thought in a short way about the academy being at Booker T. Washington to increase the level of exposure to STEM, not only to that school and that community, but also to students so that they are exposed at an earlier age to STEM in ways that they may not see it on a day-to-day basis in their communities. Provide an innovative, hands-on, experiential, dynamic teaching and learning lab for students to explore the world of STEM. What's very important here is that there will be an exploratory setting daily. Students will not come in and be in a traditional model. Yes, we will have a standard schedule, but Dr. Leitner will explain what that day in the life of a student looks like. It will be very engaging. They'll explore their learning and be able to present it to not only the school and their teachers, but also our community. We want to expand the partnerships also that we already have, so that they see our students starting early on, solving some of their own issues. And then we will be collaborating with Old Dominion University for that integration of teaching and learning and practice to build best practice for our staff to be better implementers of a design thinking model and instruction, STEM instruction for our students. Our overall vision, we're cultivating a generation of productive young citizens who are prepared for our global world. They'll have a greater awareness, creative capacity, understanding, skills, and knowledge needed for their success throughout their educational experiences. Again, we're starting very early. College and STEM careers, our community, our society, and beyond. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Caitlin Leitner to review our instructional model.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Good morning to all. I am ecstatic to be here to present this to you all. As Dr. Branch stated, we need to catch them early. As I oversee K-12 STEM education in our city, I have noticed a need to catch our students much younger than at the high school level. Perfect. Thank you so much. I'll use my teacher voice. So excited about this opportunity to start with kindergarten all the way up through 5th grade. For our instructional model, we are looking at design thinking. So this is taking our students through the 5E learning model that's adopted by the VDOE. So we'll keep that in our curriculum for our overview, but our goal is to expose students to local issues around our community, around the Commonwealth, around the state of Virginia. And our overall goal and purpose is to produce critical thinkers and problem solvers. So while we will still abide by the Virginia Standards of Learning, we will be doing it in a different way, through the design thinking way. Students will be given an audience of who they're trying to communicate to and the problem in which they're trying to solve. So a day in the life of a lab school student could look as if the playground doesn't meet the needs of all of our community members. Grandparents' Day, they're not all able to come due to wheelchair crutches, etc. And so they are given that design thinking process where they have to problem solve. Their math class is going to look like budgets. They have to come up with a budget because everything has a price. They're going to do research. So they're going to be reading and writing about the research of what their proposal is. Of course, the science is that STEM integration. So you have your force, motion, and energy connection there. And of course, the social studies, you have to know about your city in your Commonwealth. So every day would look different. Every grade level would look different. But the purpose is to produce problem solvers for a 21st century world.
And we couldn't do this without our partners and supporters. And we have many. These are just a few, and many others have offered letters of support. But but this list will continue to grow. Thank you. One of the, I think, the most exciting partnerships we have has actually started about a year ago with Suffolk Public Schools and ODU. We met simply to talk about ways to work together, and we had no idea we'd be sitting here today. So we launched a series at ODU of 4 workshops that extend the Project Lead the Way curriculum in the 11th grade classrooms in Suffolk schools. And they've been visiting, these students have been visiting ODU Tri-City Center for the last 4 months. It will culminate in June. But we've also partnered with the Hampton Roads Biomedical Research Consortium, and they are providing in these workshops demonstrations in the 3D lab that are then followed up with real-world engagement with ODU faculty as well as business and industry leaders on what has been learned in the lab. And so due to the success of this practical application and the network that this is building for our 11th graders, we already started the development of 2 programs for next year with Hampton Roads and for 11th and 12th graders. So we're very excited about that. But of course, we will continue to grow this list and also use some of our internal partners at ODU through ODU STEM committees and related groups and organizations. Sustainability plan. So our partners will help us with our sustainability. ODU has a strong history of sustainability with its initiatives, many of which have already started, and commitments from Suffolk Public Schools and ODU. We intend to pursue grants, leverage our research to demonstrate the innovations we wish to continue as we move into our self-sustaining years. And we will leverage our educator prep program, our Monarch Teach program, that has already had a decade of grant funding. ODU's Innovation Lab has already received funding to bring the Go Tech Teaching Lab to life. So we'll be using that, as well as ongoing collaboration with Hampton Roads Workforce Council to stay abreast of any STEM-related initiatives in the region. But I want to mention two initiatives that I think are critical to what we're all doing here with these lab schools. One is to engage ODU's Department of Development and Advancement, because they will help us leverage our alumni and business and industry leaders and help us create a campaign for fundraising that's somewhat unique and adds to the wonderful complexity of what we're doing. But that will bring a lot of us together and a lot more support for our sustainability. And related to that, as you know, ODU has also put forth 2 other proposals for lab schools, and we would really enjoy leveraging those capabilities, celebrating the unique aspects of each school, as well as the similarities and the shared resources, for example, of what we might find with those. So there's a lot of opportunity with the way that we're bringing forth this particular lab school.
And to close us out, our outcomes. We believe we have articulated our overall mission and vision and purpose for this elementary lab school. We'll have a hands-on practical STEM approach to our students' learning. There will be daily instruction where, because this is K through 5, it will be cross-curricular. Their learning will have a STEM foundation, but we will cover everything that our students are expected to have in a K through 5 environment. It will enhance that student academic proficiency. They will have a deeper understanding for students of core STEM subjects to allow them to, as Dr. Leitner mentioned, continue with the 5E learning model, as well as the 5 C's for the profile of a Virginia graduate. We want to make sure that they are enhanced in their critical thinking, which is across the board and cross-curricular. Old Dominion will help us with their sustainability of our teacher development and programming, as well as developing more of a teacher-educator pipeline. As Dr. Samersky mentioned, we're already in progress with that, but we've also partnered and have identified for the last 2 years STEM leads in each building who receive professional development bi-monthly from 21st Cent Ed. And we've really been able to build the instructional capacity of our teachers there. So all of these efforts will increase our Research focus on areas, our teacher development and building capacity for our learning. We have 3 goals. These are the metrics, simple but complicated. By the end of each lab school year, 2025 through 2029, the STEM Academy Lab School students testing in grades 3 through 5 will successfully meet and exceed, that word is not, those words are not in there, but that's the goal, the minimum pass score on all SOL assessments. By the end of each lab school year, the STEM Academy Lab students will successfully meet and exceed the minimum pass score on all division-generated, DDOE required, project-based learning, and other assessments. And 100% of our STEM Academy Lab School teachers and staff will practice and implement professional development strategies in which they were trained and are embedded within the STEM Lab Academy School. We thank you for this opportunity and welcome any questions or comments.
Any questions? Mr. Hanson?
Thank you for this presentation, but also previously with the committee, and just thank you also just for the vision of the elementary school approach here. Could you maybe just help us a little bit too? I know in the committee consideration, there was a little bit of reference to Booker T. Washington and just the physicality of how it's situated and how you're going to be drawing students from the community into the school in their area, but just a little bit, maybe just through the thought process behind that and using that as the hub of the project.
One, Booker T. Washington, thank you, Mr. Hanson. Booker T. Washington is one of our smaller elementary schools, and it has about 340 students in a 500 to 600 capacity building. So location in the inner city of Suffolk, it is actually in what's considered the downtown area, has a lot of rich history in the school, but it has the building capacity to encompass the additional classes, the lab, and all of the extended learning there. So we really did want to focus in on where in some places we're over capacity, where we have the ability, the capability physically to do it. We're also, as far as bringing students there, we're going to be using the lottery system as designed in the lab school application process and required. And we'll be working with Old Dominion University to create that lottery system. And for the students there, they will be part of that building. And so they will receive the same transportation, food and nutrition services, all things that are related to our students. But the location is based on the size, the physical location and rich history of the building.
Dr. Northern?
What curriculum will you be using?
Sure. Our plan is to use Project Lead the Way. They have an elementary curriculum. We currently utilize that at 2 of our high schools, which are nationally recognized, I might add. So we plan to adopt the elementary Project Lead the Way curriculum to utilize for this.
And you have already, did I hear you say that that's already in place in some of the high schools?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you have the money already to adopt Project Lead the Way, or do you have to get grant funding to do that?
I don't know if you want to speak to that, but we already have that in place from our planning grant.
Okay,
Yes.
excellent. Just for my colleagues, it's a very reputable STEM hands-on curriculum. So kudos for choosing that one.
Thank you.
Miss Ashton?
I just also want to applaud the effort as a middle high school STEM school leader, thinking about what our kids, if they receive this education at elementary school, the amount of progress and excitement and just retention and college going readiness that we could start early is commendable. I also want to echo Project Lead the Way is an incredibly rich, rigorous curriculum, and the alignment for elementary through 12, I think is just going to accelerate the learning. And the last is just kudos to the partnerships, like all I kept hearing was just partnerships, ODU, Suffolk, the school, teachers. So I'm just incredibly excited to have the proposal, to see it come into life. So thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Holton.
Yes, I thank you all for being here and presenting this exciting project. And I join my colleagues, and I'm especially excited, yes, to have an elementary school in our portfolio of lab schools. Very exciting. And I love that clearly embedded deeply in your plans, as outlined in the metrics, is the focus on the teacher development. This really is about improving student learning, but also improving how we train our teachers. So kudos on all of that. Help me understand. So this is a school within a school. Is that right? So you're going to be serving some, but not all of the students at Booker T. Washington? And how's that going to work?
We are going to allow the lab school lottery process to drive the enrollment. We do want the majority of our students to be from Booker T. Washington. That would be ideal. However, we're going to be true to the lottery process and create, in partnership with Old Dominion, that criteria that does recognize, based on the criteria, those students who need it. There will be a wait list, as is outlined in the lottery school application. But the focus, we would love to expand this after the lab school process to the entire school and make it a full school STEM lab academy.
So starting as a school within a school building,
Yes.
a separate school within the school building, but your goals eventually would be to take the process to the whole school.
Yes, and I want to clarify, I know for coding and as we do the data for the building, those students will be Booker T. Washington students. However, they will be identified in those 6 classes, K through 12, for our monitoring and assessing, and ensuring not a tracking system, but making sure that what we are proposing and doing is impacting those students.
Thank you. And I should know this because I know it's embedded in our lottery process, but I don't. Do the current Booker T. Washington catchment area students get any, do the criteria allow them to go to the head of the line in the lottery, or are they just in with anybody else?
In the lottery process, we have to be fair and consistent. We do want to target our students, but we have to go with the exact process as outlined in the lab school. And so I do not want to say that those students would have any higher ranking or priority. However, we really do want our students at Booker T. Washington Elementary School to be at the forefront, but we will use the true lottery system.
So they don't get any extra weighting in the lottery, but obviously they'll be aware of the school marketing, recruitment, et cetera. Okay.
Yes, we will market strongly with our team at Booker T. Washington and within our community.
And then you're starting in fall of 25, I assume?
Yes, this will be, once approved, if approved, it will be our planning year 24-25, and we will launch fall 2025.
And then the goal is to serve 120 students per year. Is that right?
Yes, 20 per class per grade level, so 120 per year.
And so that's K through 5, 20 per class per grade level. And then what is the total amount of money you're seeking from the lab school fund?
I want to turn it over to Dr. Sanzo, who has the full budget.
Sure, yeah, and I also apologize, it's breaking up a little bit on our end. If you don't mind repeating the question, I couldn't quite follow that, the last question.
Just what is the total budget that you are requesting? Hold on. What is the total budget you are requesting from the lab school fund, the total amount?
Sure, I need to pull this up really quickly. Give me 1 minute. I don't have that spreadsheet.
Dr. Armstrong, are you prepared?
Dr. Armstrong in the room is indicating he
right
has
up
the
here.
answer.
Yeah, it's 4.5, so we're requesting. So 1.2 million for the startup, so the 200,000 planning grant and $1 million for, the year 0. So then we'd be looking at 3.3 million for the 120 students, coming in, so 1,400 year 1, 15, 1.5 essentially, operating. I think those are the numbers. Dr. Armstrong, is that what you're looking at?
He's indicating, he's indicating agreement. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's comparable to the request that we had for Newport News with that particular one. The interesting element that you all know when we look at a K-5 school is not only are we looking at providing support to teachers and administrators, we also have the additional need to have instructional assistants that are coming into the classrooms, which takes into account that budget. But it's comparable to what we had already requested with the number of students. It's actually, I mean, I think if you look at it for students, it's actually less than what we were asking for with the Newport News one.
Thank you.
Dr. Siebert, I know you had a question or comment.
Comment and encouragement. So thank you very much and appreciate what you're doing here. As I reviewed your application and listened to your presentation today, you have something that's built in that I would encourage you to lift up. And that is you're creating an and for accountability. You concluded with the fact that you want to look at our traditional decades-old approaches of accountability in the Commonwealth. We also began with the fact that because this is going to be a demonstration project-based, phenomenon-based problem-solving approach, that you're going to have the opportunity for the community at large, not just parents, to come in and see. And that it's just important that we bear in mind that often we think of accountability in a traditional sense in terms of test scores, and those are very important. But there's very real, very genuine accountability in project-based learning environments that everybody gets to come in and see. And so that's an and for accountability. And as we in the Commonwealth continue to think and work on accountability, I would encourage you to get all this built in. I'd encourage you to lift it up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Northern?
Yeah, how much?
If I could add to that, as you think about the accountability element, we are looking at, as Dr. Branch and others have mentioned, alignment across the 3 lab schools. So the elementary level, just like the middle school, we're looking at those expositions of learning, but I'm going to take your language and add that to what we've already included in the grant, because I think you've raised a good point that we talked about that have to be put up front. It is that public accountability to the parents, the community, versus and others that will be collaborated with. So thank you for that.
Dr. Northern?
I'm just wondering how much time, I know different project lead the way, schools organize instruction differently. So how much exposure will the kids be getting to the curriculum? Like, what does that look like time-wise a week?
Certainly. So we have not purchased it quite yet, but we've met with the committee. And so I started with an alignment document. So while it is aligned, thank you so much. We had to ensure we're accounting for all SOLs. So they'll be engaged weekly within the curriculum. So we're purchasing all the curriculum that's solely aligned to the Virginia Standards of Learning. So weekly, they will be engaged in the project Lead the Way. I don't have an hourly breakdown based on the purchase of what we get and all of the supplies and materials. However, what was accounted for is that every single week, it'll be a daily process. So they'll be engaged in it starting with Monday with a proposed design. So whatever the problem is, and then each day it's built out all the way through that Friday. It's almost like a week-long curriculum that they'll be exposed to it.
Further questions, comments? Mr. Hanson, do you have anything? Okay. All right. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Let's see. As we move on, what I'd like to ask now is if there is a motion to waive first review and approve the ODU Suffolk Lab application for 5 years with annual reviews in accordance with the board's bylaws, with total startup and operational lab school per pupil funding from the College Partnership Laboratory School Fund to be determined no later than June 21st, 2024. I said that. Okay. Guidelines and bylaws, board's guidelines and bylaws.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Madam President,
Yes, Mr. Rotherham.
obviously, I'm very supportive of expanding these, public outreach. I'm recusing myself on this one because, one of the part of my. So I think it's fine.
Further comments or discussion? Ms. Ashton? Dr. Northern? Mr. Hanson?
Aye.
Dr. Siebert?
Aye.
Ms. Holton?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Armstrong.
Madam President and board members, thank you. I'd like to now provide an overview of the George Mason University Shenandoah Valley Rural Regional College Partnership Laboratory School for Data Science, Computing, and Applications, also known as DSCA. This is a partnership among George Mason University, Clark County, Fauquier County, Frederick County, Page County, Shenandoah County, Warren County, and Winchester City Public Schools, as well as Laurel Ridge Community College and the Governor's School at Mountain Vista. I would like to again thank the members of the College Partnership Lab Schools Standing Committee for their time, feedback, and commitment to lab schools. And you will find cover sheets from the OAG and VDOE, as well as consistent budget templates in each application reflecting the additional efforts taken on behalf of the applications before you today for consideration, including this application from GMU DSCA. The GMU DSCA Lab School proposal was presented to the Lab School Standing Committee on May 6, 2024, and was unanimously approved on first and final review to be forwarded to the State Board for your consideration today. Joining me today from George Mason University are Dr. Padmadian Seshayer, Professor and Director at George Mason University, and Dr. Deb Crawford, Supervisor of Mathematics and World Language Instructional Services Department at Frederick County Public Schools. Upon completion of my report, I will invite the GMU team to provide a brief overview of their proposal and to introduce any other special guests representing the GMU DSCA Lab School. The proposed lab school named GMU DSCA is an innovative interdisciplinary lab school model that focuses on providing career exposure to students through real-world problem solving in collaboration with higher education professionals, pre-service college students, and industry experts. Students will remain enrolled in their home school division while being provided with several options to engage in career exploration, including dual enrollment opportunities at Laurel Ridge Community College. The proposed lab school will serve 50 students from grade 10, 50 students from grade 11, and 50 students from grade 12 who will have the opportunity to engage in DSCA through 5 common experiences, which include interdisciplinary coursework, where students will be exposed to data-focused coursework from various aspects of STEM that applies to real-world workspaces, research and creative experience, in which students will work on specific student-led research projects where he or she will work closely with the faculty across the Commonwealth and other researchers, helping them to earn college credit through George Mason University. Design thinking and entrepreneurship experience, in which students will learn to solve problems using a human-centered approach to problem solving, and in the process learn to build viable business models, and a work-based learning experience component in which students will be mentored by big data business and industry partners through a choice of work-based experiences, as well as a global and multicultural experience in which data collaborations around global challenges are engaged, where every student will interact with students from developing countries. All students will also have the opportunity to earn directed online data and analytics focused certifications through companies such as Google and Amazon. Instruction will be administered in a hands-on environment and includes simultaneous teaching by Frederick County Public School staff, George Mason University faculty and pre-service students, Laurel Ridge faculty, and industry experts. The lab school would address multiple desirable outcomes for students, future teachers, and regional schools with hiring needs, including students engaging in a high-level application of real-world problem solving while working closely with a team of experts from both industry and the higher ed partners. GMU's DSCA will provide a space for innovation where educators, industry, and pre-service professionals can explore best practices in teaching and learning, and students will engage in coursework aligned with personal interests and regional market demand, industry, and business, streamlining the pipeline for high-wage, high-skill, high-demand employment in the region served by the lab school. The VDOE received the DSCA application on April 2nd, 2024, and in the intervening months, we have collaborated with the applicant as follows. VDOE staff provided technical assistance to the DSCA team in preparation for standing committee review. Prior to their application submission, technical assistance calls were held between VDOE and DSCA team going back as far as August 17, 2023, shortly after I came on board, November 2nd, 2023, November 14th, 2023, and March 18th, 2023. Following submission of their application, additional technical assistance was provided in the first round of counseling from the subject matter expert reviews provided to the applicants during the week of April 16th. A revised application was submitted to the VDOE on April 18th, and an additional application responsive to OAG and VDOE review was provided to the VDOE on April 25th for completion of the report that went to the College Partnership Lab School Standing Committee. Follow-up feedback was provided to the applicants, and the team presented to the Standing Committee on May 6th, responded to their questions, and was approved by the Standing Committee on May 6th. Unanimously to proceed to today's special meeting of the Board of Education for consideration for approval. The GMU DSCA Lab School application was posted for public comment following the May 6th Standing Committee meeting on May 6th and remained available until May 20th, and we did not receive any comment. On behalf of the VDOE, I submit that the George Mason University DSCA application is compliant and ready to implement, and I recommend to the board that the lab school be approved and subsequently begin the contract approval process. Again, here to share more about the GMU DSCA Lab School, I am joined by Dr. Sashayar, as well as Dr. Crawford, who will provide additional information and introduce any other guests who are here on behalf of DSCA. Dr. Crawford and Sashayar.
Morning.
Morning.
Thank you for inviting us here. My name is Padhu Seshayar, and I'm a professor and director at George Mason University. And once again, we are very honored to be here in front of distinguished members of the Board of Education. Here I'm with my collaborator, Dr. Deb Crawford, who's a supervisor of mathematics and world languages for Frederick County Public Schools, and also an instructor at George Mason University. Together, we have led the Shenandoah Valley Regional Computer Science Partnership with 11 partners in the Valley, with GMU serves as the lead higher ed and Frederick serves as the lead school division. And we both also have served over the past 5 years as the Virginia High School Data Science, Higher Ed, and K-12 leads respectively on the standards writing and the implementations team. Rural and rural fringe divisions, such as those in Shenandoah Valley, are often overlooked part of the complex American education system. Even though about 10 million students, 1 in 5 nationally, attend a rural or rural fringe school. So targeted facilities and investments such as the VDOE College Partnership Lab School opportunities could pay dividends in improving rural education. So once again, thank you for inviting us to this to present today the Shenandoah Valley Rural Regional College Partnership Laboratory School that will focus on DSCA, which is Data Science, Computing, and Applications. This lab school will be led by GMU and it's a collaborative project with 7 partner divisions and 1 governor school in the Shenandoah Valley, with Frederick County as the lead K-12 partner. GMU will also leverage the expertise of faculty from the George Mason University College of Science, the Complete Center, which is a joint center between College of Science and College of Education and Human Development, the Smithsonian Mason Conservation School of Conservation at the Front Royal campus for George Mason, and Laurel Ridge Community College to engage students and teachers in this GMU DSCA lab school.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to bring a data science and computing applications lab school to students in the Valley. The lab school will employ a hub and spoke model that will be led by GMU working with VDOE and Frederick County Public Schools as the hub where the physical lab school will be located, along with The lab school opportunities provided through GMU, SMSC, and Laurel Ridge Community College for students, teachers, and parents from all over the Valley from partnering divisions serving as the spokes. Our mission is to create innovative pathways designed to help students and teachers from rural and rural fringe school divisions add data science and computing applications, expertise to their skill set, and make informed data-driven decisions that contribute meaningfully to their communities. Our vision is to create a data literate, next generation workforce empowered with the skills, knowledge, and mindset necessary to thrive and solve problems in a data-driven world to bring about positive change. Think about it. In the past 2 years, over 90% of the data that has ever existed was created, and most of it is unstructured data requiring new methods for analysis and use for decision-making.
Thanks. So the lab school will be hosted physically at Double J Harvard Center in Frederick County Public Schools, and it'll serve students each year as a full lab school. Lab school students and the partner division faculty teachers will have the opportunity to take dual enrollment coursework and professional learning opportunities through the regional higher education partners, including George Mason University, Smithsonian Conservation Center, Laurel Ridge Community College. The proposed lab school will serve 50 students from each of the grades 10, 11, and 12, who will have the opportunity to engage in data science, computing, and applications through 5 common experiences. So these experiences are actually foundational competencies identified by the National Academy of Engineering Grand Challenge Scholars Program. These include an interdisciplinary coursework experience, a research and creative experience, design thinking and entrepreneurship experience, work-based learning experience, and global and multicultural experience. And also with Governor Youngkin's executive order on AI issued in January 2024, the need to prepare the next generation workforce on competencies for data in the age of AI becomes even more important.
Which is the second data science course they'll take in the lab school. This day in the life slide that you see up there shows sample schedules for 11th and 12th graders from the industry-aligned data hub, which serves as the center of the lab school. Note that travel to and from the lab school from the base schools allows opportunity for lab school students to engage in after-school clubs and sports. The schedule shows how 2 elective periods per day allow for customizable workplace learning options, graduation requirements, both for advanced studies, diploma, associate's degree, and university research for every student in the lab school with mentorship from university faculty, with data science, computer science, and scientists such as those from the Smithsonian Mason School of Conservation, which is right in our backyard in Front Royal. And the Smithsonian is hugely excited about working with us. This is something they've long wanted to do in the Valley. Students in the lab school will also have the opportunity to engage throughout the curriculum in a no-code, low-code, and high-code environment in terms of their experiences. The primary difference between those lies in the level of coding expertise required, the degree of customization and control offered, and the target audience. PBL and the data cycle underlie all of the curriculum that we are using and integrated into our instructional model as well.
Thank you. And you can see faculty from ODU, faculty from Shenandoah University, teachers from different school divisions. So, so the lab school is a data-focused school offering an emphasis on advancing data science, computing, and applications through innovative research and education through this collaborative partnership with multiple universities as well. The proposed lab school will help build on successful best practices. These regional partners have already established through 3 Virginia Department of Education Advancing Computer Science Education grants that help to enhance the regional partnership. And we were also able to develop a micropilot labs component in these grants within this project, which allowed high school students over
the last 3 years to engage in capstone projects, earning college credits in the areas of data science, computing, and applications. And through this, we are able to engage faculty from multiple universities across the Commonwealth, as well as teachers from all the partnering divisions.
So this framework that you see up on the slide is not hypothetical. We have been engaged in student research projects for 3 years in the Valley, and we have a showcase tomorrow night at Shenandoah University for our students. And you can see that model has the student at the center and their high school teachers along the bottom, although we have more of them. And then their university mentors are at the top, all supporting the students on their student-led research projects based on the expertise required for the project. Data and computing provides a significant competitive advantage in today's society. With a need to expand the talent pool to address workforce needs, we need to create new programs designed to help our students add DSCA expertise to their skill set. Also, the recent National Council of Teachers in Mathematics released a position statement. You may have seen it on data science and the value of that high school course in their curriculum as a credit for graduation. In the data science lab school, students will be getting not 1, but 2 data science courses, second at the college level, 2 computer science courses at the college level, and 2 advanced science courses involving data applications. Again, one of them at the college level and working with those scientists at the Smithsonian. So very cool opportunities for students that are not available at the base school. All students will also have the opportunity to earn directed online data analytics focused certifications through companies such as Google and Amazon. Students in the lab school also have the opportunity to earn an associate's degree from Laurel Ridge Community College. We have the pathways set up. College credit from George Mason University, as I mentioned before, and industry certifications from partnering organizations that you see up here.
And I was fortunate to be one of the authors on the from representing Virginia on the NCTM statement on high school data science. And to sustain the next slide, please. So the total budget we asked was for 6.25 million. And to sustain the proposed college partnership school model, various resources will be essential, including financial resources, political capital, as well as staff talent and interest. So it's very important for long-term viability. And as a former program director at the NSF, I know how important it is to raise funds. So and so it's not just the initial implementation, but also ongoing operations, maintenance, and growth. So starting year 2 of the lab school, we plan to bring our experience to apply to secure grants from the NSF, NIH, VDOE, NASA, as well as foundation funding. We actually met with Gates on Saturday and Simons Monday yesterday. So so there are foundations that are also looking at data science as something that they can actually contribute to. We'll also be actively pursuing partnerships and funding from nonprofit foundations such as Discover E that runs the Future City competitions, Battle Foundation, Broadcom Foundation, both of which have funded GMU for several of their STEM programs, as well as for-profit organizations such as including local businesses and industries. We'll also try to pursue congressional earmarks for our lab school each year, which are opened up as community projects in the House and congressionally directed spending in the Senate. I am the only hired member that serves on a STEM advisory board, as well as the Workforce Development Board. So it gives us the opportunity to learn about these congressional funding that is available each year. And we'll also follow up with governor schools that we both have been involved with. There's a Prince William Governor School model that George Mason has been working with, and understanding best practices from that we can use for our lab school also.
And so we've talked a lot about the opportunities for our students, but what about our teachers? We are excited that the Data Science and Computing Applications Lab School will also serve as a teacher hub in the Commonwealth for data science and computing. So how will we do this? One of the novel innovations in our proposed lab school will be the development of digital badges and micro-credentials in data science and computing for teachers and leadership that will be developed in conjunction with GMU and Laurel Ridge Community College. These badges and micro-credentials will serve as tangible evidence of skills and knowledge that teachers are acquiring. Also, the targeted approach can be more efficient and cost-effective. Most importantly, these can be accessible, customizable, and stackable. Both of us, Dr. Seshire and I, have experience working with VASCD on creating micro-credentials for data science. And the VASCD, the Virginia Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development, we developed micro-credentials there around various community engagement aspects of the high school data science curriculum. The roadmap that you see in the top right shows teachers as designers and learners within the lab school environment. The lab school also seeks to serve as that go-to data science and computing hub that I mentioned for teacher professional learning across the Commonwealth. We have a data science institute. 115 teachers have already signed up, slated for June 25th and 26th at George Mason University. These are teachers in the Commonwealth who want to learn how to teach data science, since we have new standards that were just approved 2 years ago. So we are already serving as this hub and really would like to scale that up. Teachers in the lab school, but also from the partnering divisions, may participate in these opportunities to upskill data science and computing skills based on a pre-assessment, attendance at research courses with their students. We're already doing that, connecting with university experts in their fields through student research projects and business and industry partners, Google Data Analytics certificate support, classroom visits, monthly cohort support groups, and lesson study around topics of interest. Let me give you just a quick example. The 115 teachers coming to the Institute in June, they're going to get a Quant Hub personalized dashboard login so they can do a pre-assessment of where their skills are, and then they can work on those modules that they would like to work on. That's an example of how customizable this is for teachers to do.
Yeah, and you know, through this partnership, we are very confident that the GMU College Partnership Lab School will help facilitate pathways for data science fostered through not just high school, but various stages of education, you know, through community college, through undergraduate studies, and all the way to, so we are already seeing these kids going to take bachelor's in data science or minors, you know, so with other majors that they would like to see. And so we have a lot of activities, like even for parents to be involved. We call it Super Data Saturdays, which will be at the Smithsonian Mason School of Conservation, and extending this experience through activities later in college as well. So, and once again, we want to close with the importance of you know, engaging rural and rural fringe divisions in data in the age of AI. So I think it's very important that we do it early, and I think this is how we can impact the next generation.
Thank you.
It's something very important. Thank you very much. So.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions? Mr. Hanson?
Just again, thank you. And I just just thrilled with the proposal. Just obviously we talked about this in the lab committee meeting, but both the geographic needs and the work of George Mason and the collaboration with the school system, I just am, and for that region, it's just critically important. So thank you. I also just, when you're talking about the teachers, I think in my 2 years on the state board, in your presentation, when you had the 3 students and the 3 teachers with them, it was probably the most profound experience that I've had to see the each of those 3 students were just so incredibly impressive, and but also the love, the support, the professional partnership with their faculty was just so clear, and it just was to me just a could not, sometimes I'm a visual learner, but it was just such so clear of what can be achieved through this project. So I wish the entire board could have witnessed those 3 students and the 3 faculty, because it really was both. And I think to your point of the, you know, teachers training the teachers, and you know, that is so critical here. But I just wanted to thank you for the thoughtfulness and the collaboration that you've put together here. Just looking forward to really helping the region in a very measurable way.
Thank you very much for that comment. And just with, we were surprised. One of the students declared her major to be data science, and she was just entering. And that is the day we found out also, and she's going to be presenting tomorrow. So thank you again.
Our students stole the show as they
So
should, and we wish they were here
here
today.
today. We had about 8 other people who presented.
Yes.
Further comments or questions? Dr. Northern?
So I'm sure you're probably aware of the debate within the mathematics field relative to calculus versus data science. There are many folks that argue that taking, algebra 2, pre-calculus and calculus is a better route for STEM, for kids who are interested in STEM than data science. And then other people say, no, you shouldn't be one or the other, these should be more encompassing. So I guess, where do you stand on that sort of, for certain kids, it's better to take calculus and data science, or how do you guys make sense of that debate in the mathematics field?
Yeah, I'll speak from the higher end. So yesterday's meeting in New York by Simons Foundation. Simons is the billionaire mathematician. He organized about 25 organizations to come together. I am the chair of the US National Academy's Commission for Mathematics Instruction. This was exactly what was brought up, and I was able to present the case for data science. And you're right, exactly. So but are we trying to? So the discussion was, are we trying to get all kids to do calculus after algebra 2 or pre-calculus? Or are we trying to find kids with, or are we trying to build competencies which will help a kid that is going to do restaurant and hotel management, that can predict which coffee sells the most at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday? Starbucks will hire them for 100K. So it's about, predicting which one. So that aspect of, so one of the things that we have actually developed in this is a cycle of acquisition and collection of data, interpretation, processing and cleaning of data, and interpretation and visualization of data, modeling and analysis of data, and lastly, prediction and validation of data. Each of those steps has mathematics in it. So people are now starting to understand the importance of data science as not being mathematics, but it's mathematical foundations, as not being statistics, it's statistical reasoning, as not being computer science, it's computational thinking. So if I think of a triple circle, data science sits at the hub addressing health or some domain. And so now so it is only the mathematics community, but it's right now they're starting to discuss the more awareness they are getting it's becoming better. So for example, my presentation yesterday was helpful to many of them to get clarified. Otherwise, so there are lots of messages, and there's also national organizations called Data Science for Everyone who were there. So you are also trying to, so we are trying to promote this message. And so one very important point, your comment is, Virginia has been the first state to approve, the Board of Education approved standards of learning. No other state has done it, and you probably have heard lots of things going on in California. The reason it worked is because it was built, bottom up with higher ed, K-12 supervisors, VDOE, everybody coming together and actually building the standards of learning and then going up. So we are at that point in the mathematics community to see, like, all these kids that are coming in, they need to get ready. So, so one part of my job is to also help align all the institutions to help them understand, given there's like 10 different data science classes inside a university. So selective, exactly.
Mhm,
Yes,
mhm,
you're right.
mhm.
Do you think this more selective university still look down on that, or do you think you get that strong?
I don't think so, because they all will be expected to take math placement exam, and so the ability to be able to place into some class will be, each university has their own standards. So by doing data science, though, they will have an opportunity that normal students may not have, is to the ability to get a major, double major, minor, and they may not go into a major in mathematics or engineering. They could get a minor. And so I'm already started, like the girl that surprised us at the standing committee meeting, that she's going to do data science major and a computer science minor. So I think these are the types of things we're going to be seeing a lot, actually.
So great question. I hope you don't mind if I add a little bit from the student standpoint at the lab school. So students have different pathways in the lab school that they can choose based on their interests and their career goals. And we have students who will come in and work on a data analytics certificate, and they can go straight to work, a really, really good job, 60,000, right? Simultaneously, they can work and then go to college, and the work will pay for them to go to college, or they're going straight to work. It'll give them that workforce skill set. And as you know, data science and computing underlie AI, and whoever can figure out AI wins. So this is needed by our students. Then we have students who have taken calculus, and they're earning an associate's degree at Laurel Ridge Community College. They've already completed 2 years of college by the time they leave the lab school. They're doing university research. So they're publishing. So it's not one or the other. Then we have another group that's doing internships after typically a data analytics certificate or credential. And so they may go straight to college, but have that internship piece where possibly some of that college could be funded. And we are looking locally at businesses who are interested in doing that. So it's not just one or the other. The Ivies have backed off on calculus, and it's kind of the idea that the STEM workforce needs a more diverse, view of what mathematics is. And really, data science is really at the heart of mathematics, statistics, computer science, and the domain of any data set. And so it's really not just one answer. Your question is great, though.
Great question. Yeah.
Right.
Actually.
Yeah. And
right. So that calculus may not be the entire calculus that kid needs to take, but there are certain parts like, what is the best is a very important concept here. The data cycle. So what's the best car? What's the cheapest I should pay? All that takes elements from calculus. So, so that's how, some of them are getting convinced to understand what the content is.
And I also want to say, because I love calculus too, I want to say it's not a matter of data science or calculus. It's a matter of when would you take calculus, and when, you see what I'm saying? Data scientists who have that college degree in data science, they have taken calculus, several calculus courses. So kids can get really excited and into data science, which brings them into and keeping them in mathematics and on that STEM track of the university, which if you've looked at the numbers, particularly females, is not great. And so if you think this is a kind of a pathway, they'll be fired up to take calculus in a couple of years. Or not.
Any further questions? Ms. Holton?
Just welcome, Dr. Sesher, Dr. Crawford. Great to hear your presentation. Just so you know, I will recuse myself when we come to the vote on this matter because of my affiliation with George Mason University.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay. Thank you all. So that being said, is there a motion to waive first review and approve the GMU Frederick Lab School application for 5 years with annual reviews in accordance with the board's guidelines and bylaws, with total startup and operational lab school per pupil funding from the College Partnership Lab School Fund to be determined no later than June 21st, 2024? Any discussion? Ms. Ashton, Dr. Northern, Mr. Hanson, Mr. Rotherham, Dr. Siebert.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Holton, I know you have to recuse, so make that official.
I recuse.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Armstrong, do you have anything in addition to your written report? Thank you. With nothing else on our special called meeting agenda, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. All right, all adjourned. Thank you.